Hi guys, we're Easy Japan. Today, we're reacting to a viral video exposing the shocking truth behind Japan's baby crisis. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's start with the scale of what's happening. Japan's population peaked in 2008 at 128 million. By 2070, it's projected to drop to 87 million. That's losing the equivalent of Canada's entire population in 50 years. The government knows this is existential. They're spending trillions of yen annually trying to reverse the trend. None of it is working. But more on that later.
Who walks around with that kind of cash?
Now, most Western netizens love the cultural explanation. But when you actually look at the data, consumption rates for adult entertainment are similar to other countries. France watches plenty of non-pixelated entertainment too. Their native birth rate is 1.7. Japan is 1.15. The cultural theory being thrown around just doesn't hold up.
Wrong.
The real frame is simpler and much more structural. Japan's birth crisis is fundamentally a marriage crisis. And a marriage crisis is fundamentally an economic one. And the economic crisis is fundamentally a gender crisis. Here's a stat that locks it in. France has nearly 3 in 5 births happening outside marriage. The UK is about half. Japan, 2%. If you're not married in Japan, you're almost certainly not having kids, and marriages are collapsing.
If you ask me, marriage is a trap.
Japan recorded fewer than 500,000 marriages for the third year in a row in 2025, the lowest levels since 1933, when the population was half of what it is today. So the question isn't, why aren't Japanese people having kids? The question is, why is getting married becoming impossible? And that's where the bosses come in.
He explains the background so well about the baby crisis in
He's
Japan.
so good.
Well, France is a country that you don't get married because of their religion, but so France is a little bit special country. But comparing it to UK, Japan's marriage rate is really, really low right now.
I didn't know that many births happen out of marriage in other countries. I thought having birth is something that happens after marriage. I guess that's my Japanese understanding.
I think it's really hard to make kids and let them grow up outside of marriage in Japan because they don't have this system for single moms and single to grow their kids by their own.
Yeah. To get the country's support, you have to be married. Like, as talking about tax and like, I don't know, people in Japan like don't think well of getting birth without being married.
Yeah, there are some supports for single dads and single moms, but the other people are not gonna think well about this.
Yeah.
About you growing up your child by your own as a single dad or mom.
Yes. And
so it's gonna be a little bit hard to grow your kids up.
Yeah, especially in Japan, Japanese people think about how they are looked at.
Why do you think the cultural pressure to marry before having kids remains so absolute here in Japan?
I think this is because in Japan, like, being the majority is very important. So being married and having a child is normal in Japan, the majority in Japan. So if you are out from that standard, then people will not have a good image of you. Everyone is trying to be normal in Japan. So going out of those standards is not considered good.
Yeah.
So that's where the pressure comes from.
I think Japan has this typical idea of the stage in life. So when you're a student, you shouldn't date so much and concentrate on your activities and study. After graduating university, then you have to find a good job. And after finding a good job, you have to find a boyfriend or girlfriend, and if you find a girlfriend or boyfriend, you have to marry, and after you marry, you have to have kids. And that's like, you have to complete one stage at a time, and that typical image in Japan's making it really hard for people to have kids outside of marriage. And even if you want to marry someone, the working life in Japan is so intense, it's really hard for you to marry someone, or it's really hard for you to build a serious relationship with someone while you're doing the intense work life in Japan, like in Tokyo and other cities in Japan. Level 1.
The dating numbers tell the full story. A third of young people express no interest in romantic relationships at all. Among men in their 20s, nearly half have never had a girlfriend. 1 in 6 plan to never marry. Now here's what makes this interesting. The total fertility rate among married Japanese couples is 1.91. It's below replacement, but it's not a crisis. The crisis comes from the fact that fewer and fewer people are getting married in the first place, and that's where the social forces come in. Japanese women face what sociologists call the M-shaped employment curve, but to a young woman in Tokyo, it doesn't look like a letter. It looks like a career-ending cliff that you're expected to walk off the moment you say, I do.
I don't want to get married.
Women start their careers after school, but a huge number quit when they have kids. Some come back later, but many don't. So when you graph this out, it looks like a giant letter M. You start your career here, you drop off here to have kids, and you try to climb back up. But in Japan, that middle dip is more like a cliff. This happens because Japanese workplaces still operate on the assumption that mothers will step back from careers. When a woman sees that having a baby means losing their career, and that they'll still have to do all the chores at home, the trade-off becomes impossible. Marriage stops looking like a team effort and starts looking like a trap. But even for couples who want to break through that bottleneck and get married, they hit a secondary wall, the economic one.
His explanation is so good.
Yeah, he understands Japan so well. Yeah, this is very true. But actually, recently I see many people, like in my company, coming back from work. Many women coming back to work after having a child. Well, yeah, I think it depends on the company, but I'm feeling companies in Japan are making it easier to return.
So your workplace doesn't have like pressure
No,
to
not at all.
quit starting a family. So they don't have any pressure, right?
No, even the men can
Oh.
be like adjust their work times.
How would you react if your workplace pressured you to quit just for starting a family?
So if I was a woman and my company pressured me to quit, well, yeah, then I would quit. I wouldn't choose to not have a baby. That doesn't stop me from getting a child, but we have to be very realistic. I will try to find a new job. Like in the first place, I won't go into those kind of companies, which I think everyone tries.
Yeah.
But if we see people being pressured, then I would look for a new company that would let me return.
I think I would hate to think that having a baby, starting a family, would be a trade-off for your career.
Yeah.
So in the first place, I don't even want to think about that. And then next, if you're gonna start a family, you'll be like cut off and like would be pressured to quit. I would feel that I just made a wrong decision, even though it's not. So I think it's a little bit toxic if your workplace pressured you to quit because you have a baby.
Yeah. And I don't like it how that company is probably thinking that the woman has to do all the chores and growing up the baby.
Do you feel Western corporate cultures genuinely support working mothers better, or are we just hiding the similar flaws?
I think Western companies are doing way better than Japanese companies. Like, I don't remember the numbers, but I remember seeing a data of the gender ratio by companies, and Japan has such a very low rates for working women. So like we're trying to get more women managers.
I think Western companies have a longer history of having a dual income households. So two of the parents are going out to work than Japanese companies, because Japanese companies still are based on the system where the husband goes to work and the wife's going to be a housewife and grow up their child into the chores at home. Level 2.
After Japan's economy crashed in the 90s, the job market split in two. Instead of steady, forever jobs, half of all young men now work gig jobs. These are part-time or contract roles with no safety net and no promise for the future. Think of adult life in Japan as a game you have to beat, but the bosses keep getting bigger. Researchers found a magic number. Men need to earn about 3 million yen a year to afford to get married. That's $20,000. And 7 out of 10 men can't beat it. They're not even hitting the starting line. The marriage data reflects it. Among men with non-regular employment, only about 1 in 5 get married. Among men with regular employment, more than half do. But the problem is, 40% of young men don't have a stable regular job. And even if you clear the income threshold, you're still facing the same boss. Because level 2 second health bar is housing. In Tokyo, newly built condos now average over 100 million yen in the greater area as of 2025. City center units push closer to 150 million yen.
Oh no.
Prices keep rising, with some places jumping nearly 40% in a single year.
Yes.
If you're renting a family-sized place, you're easily looking at 1,300 to 2,300 USD for about 500 square feet of actual living space. That's the size of a 2-car garage. And when the cost to raise a child through junior high school is over $100,000, that Kuban kid face just isn't about homework anymore.
Homework? What homework?
Now, you've probably seen the viral videos. Beautiful traditional Japanese houses for $500, sometimes free. The internet loves these stories. Just move to rural Japan and live the dream. But here's what those videos don't tell you. For most young Japanese, those homes aren't a solution. They're a form of economic exile. And there's a very specific reason nobody is actually taking them. While Japan has about 9 million vacant homes, the sad reality is career advancement only exists in cities. Some rural areas will give you a house for almost nothing. So you stay in Tokyo, you pay the rent, you fight through level 2. But staying in the game has a cost, because you'll meet the level 3 boss.
Yeah, it's so expensive to raise a child and get married in Japan. The rate of gig workers were higher than I thought.
Yeah, me too.
And the marriage rate of those part-time job workers are way lower than I thought. He said, I think about 1 in 5 people get married.
Well, it's nearly impossible to marry someone if you're a gig worker in Japan.
It sounds very hard to get married and grow up kids in Japan.
Like, imagine spending over 100 million yen for a living space the size of a 2-car garage. Sounds completely unlivable in Tokyo, but how do you think about it? It's like the size of a living room, a small living room.
It's super small. But I'm used to it now, so I think if I can live in the city center of Tokyo, that might be good. I think it might be worth it. Like Shinjuku, Shibuya.
What's worth about it if you live near Shinjuku, Shibuya?
You don't have to get on the packed trains full of people, and there's just no stress for transportation, which I am facing, like living near Chiba.
That's one point. And I think the people who live near Shinjuku, Shibuya, they love themselves living there. I think that's another thing why they're living in the central part of Tokyo.
As you go to the center of Tokyo, the prices of houses increase, but the size keeps on getting smaller. So you can see how difficult living in Tokyo is. But even in that situation, I won't want to go to the countryside, even if the houses are free.
Why?
Because there's nothing to do and no jobs. You have to pay a higher cost to get a better job.
Yeah, that's true. The reason why the young people don't go out the city and go to countryside and work, because they're not going to have a career and life in the countryside. So there's no options for them.
Right.
Facing these massive, enormous, super huge economic bosses was the baseline. Would you even consider starting a family in Tokyo or other big cities?
Well, if I were to have a family, have children, then yes, I would like it to start it in Tokyo.
But it's going to cost you an enormous amount of money.
Yes, it will. It will.
You do want to do it, but the reality is it's really hard.
Yes. Yeah, I would think about Kanagawa, Chiba, Saitama.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
That's the perfect place for people to live in.
Yeah, like it's been a problem for decades, right? People living out of Tokyo but commuting at Tokyo. You need money to get married and you need money to raise children. Oh, 悲しい。
Japanese government have pushed Japan so everybody can be a middle class. But the result is the middle class people are the major people who's suffering from this lifestyle because the low class people, they have jobs at also countryside, and the high class people, they're gonna live in city sides or maybe countrysides, and they also still have jobs. But the middle class people, they don't have jobs, only in cities, but the cities are gonna cost them really high rate of like basic life costs.
Yeah.
So the result of the Japanese government pushing everybody to become a middle class is this suffer of the middle class people.
Do you mean middle class by the salary?
Japan was once known as a nation of 100 million middle class people, meaning that most people considered themselves at middle class and enjoyed the relatively similar living standards. As a result, many middle class jobs became like concentrated in the major cities like Tokyo and Osaka, and while more lower income and higher income jobs could often be found in suburban or rural or countryside areas. So this means that many middle class families have little choice, only options to live in the urban areas, and they have to suffer their high rate of the living standards costs in the cities.
So the people in the middle class live in Tokyo and are suffering right now. So it's only the high class people can get a family.
And the lower income and the higher income.
Yes.
Yeah, they have a life. Middle class people don't have a life.
Wow.
I think they don't have options.
Yeah, I feel it's impossible to make babies now.
Either if you have a life in the countryside, or either you have a lot of money, you can't have babies in cities right now in Tokyo.
Okay, thanks for watching. Is your home country facing the same kind of situation? And do you feel any economic hurdles for this? Tell us in the comments. Bye.
Bye.